Whoa, what's that? That's the Need for Speed for the Panasonic 3DO console. Holy moly, that's a big giant piece of cardboard. Holy moly, look at those amazing 3D graphics. Hey guys, how's it going? I'm doing a quick video today to go over a console that I never really had as a kid. My parents definitely could not afford a Panasonic 3DO when it first came out in 1993 here in the US. It came, I believe, at a hefty $700 price tag. But recently, actually not so recently, it was this past winter, I had a friend on the video game forums that I'm a member of that was giving one away because he simply could not get it to work. And I said, hey, I'm already trading some other games with you. Why not throw that in and I'll pay the shipping and, you know, I'll see what I can do. Obviously, I looked at it. I have no idea how to fix consoles. I've done a little itty bitty bit of work, some modifications here and there, but nothing spectacular. I can't really do much. I've replaced a cap or two. That's about it. So really, I didn't know what to do. When I first booted the 3DO up, it seemed to run okay, but it would not spin discs. So I wound up sending it to a friend on the forums as well. He's in our PC Engine FX chat a lot. Talk to him just about every week. Anyway, he, through lots of trials and tribulations, we actually got the 3DO running, and I just wanted to share with you the performance of the 3DO now that we've got it going, and maybe share a little bit of the information as to how we got it running and what was wrong with it, and things like that. So, alright, if you guys are interested, keep on watching, because I'm going to show off the 3DO and put a couple games in, and let's play them, right? Alright, let's take a look. Okay, so really the 3DO is something that's pretty brand new to me. A long time ago, I once owned the 3DO top-loading, the lesser expensive one. I think that was your, I can't think of the name of the company that did it. But I only had, I think I had Gex for it, and that was about it. And I thought, well, there's already the Saturn and the PlayStation, and the Dreamcast was just about to come out, so I wound up getting rid of it. I believe I actually traded the 3DO straight up for a Dreamcast, and that was like in 1999 or 2000 or something like that. So that was how I got rid of the 3DO back in the day. I never really owned a whole lot for it, so I've already got 5 games here, just picking up some games here and there. Technically, I already have 7, but a couple of these, and they're just in loose disc cases, I cannot get to run properly. They're pretty scuffed up, and because they were scuffed up, they were less expensive games. But Bust-A-Move, which I can't wait to try. Hopefully I can get that working someday. And then the legendary Star Control 2, which is supposed to be a fantastic game. I just haven't given it, I haven't been able to play it yet because, well, you know, it doesn't work. So, Stellar 7, Draxon's Revenge is a game I got recently from a local game shop. I think it was a couple of bucks. The disc looks really good. I haven't actually tried it yet. I'm going to have to try that pretty soon. Flashback, The Quest for Identity. This is, of course, the original game came out on the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis back in 92 or 93, I think it was. They re-released it again. Actually, this game's been re-released for just about everything. The interesting thing about it is I don't know if any of the newer versions of this were ever as good as the original Super Nintendo or Genesis versions. This version I played a little bit of. They tried to add FMV sequences into it instead of just the really smooth animation that they had in the game. When you're picking up a gun, or if your character gets on some sort of any kind of cutscene that they did in the original, it's turned into an FMV, and I just don't think it looks as good as the original. But it's still a good game. Excellent game, actually. Flashback's a lot of fun. Really fun game. Daedalus Encounter. This is actually an amazing game. I have my kids and I have actually played it. We just got to disc 3 not too long ago, and it's actually a really super fun FMV game. And yes, it's FMV, but it blows away your usual night traps or It Came from the Desert, and even your Sewer Shark. It's a great game. I was really impressed with it. Daedalus Encounter. And of course, no 3DO library is complete without Crash and Burn. Played this one. It's pretty good. Pretty good game. And then last but not least, the Need for Speed, which is an Electronic Arts racing game, which has become kind of a phenomenon lately. And so then, yeah, those are some games that we'll look at. We don't have to look at them all. I don't know if we're really interested in doing all that, but here is the console controller. This is a generic off-brand controller, but this is pretty much very similar to what a normal 3DO controller looks like. You have your usual D-pad. It's pretty responsive. It works pretty good. I don't know how it would work with Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, but you know, I'm willing to give it a shot. You've got your 3 buttons, very similar to your Genesis. I don't really know why they went in this direction with 3DO as opposed to, you know, 6 buttons on the face, or, you know, it seemed really odd that they'd only went with 3 buttons, but I think they were going with more of an interactive multimedia device where you could watch movies on, play movies, music, video games, all kinds of stuff, rather than just playing video games. So they were probably looking at that aspect of it. And a lot of games, most games, you know, you only need a couple buttons anyway, so it worked just fine. It also has an L and R trigger on the top, so I'm not really sure what those do, but they are there, along with your L's, R's, and ABC turbo switches. So, holy crap, it's a TurboGrafx pad. You got slow down, X, and play buttons. Along with, in the 3DO, the interesting thing about 3DO is it actually took a book out of the NEC TurboGrafx console with only having one controller port. One way that they did get around having to use a multi-tap, though, was to include a port on each of the controllers. This is a really unique idea, and I actually think it's a pretty awesome idea. See right there, they have the controller port, and that right there is where you can hook in your second and then third, fourth players' controllers right into the, you know, controller ports, or right into the controller ports that are on the controller, so you can kind of daisy chain as many players as you want. I liked that idea. I thought that was a really, really cool idea, and I don't know if, you know, I just don't know if it ever took off or why it didn't. You've never seen it in another console ever again. The only console this ever happened on was the 3DO, so apparently not too many people liked it. So I'll go ahead and unhook the controller. Ugh. And here is the beautiful 3DO. Now this is the original model. Again, it's in really good shape. I mean, it's got a couple scuffs here and there, but it's amazing how much detail went into this system. And it's not really too surprising after really getting one of these and looking at it. Not too crazy to hear that it was so expensive back in the day, because it's really built like a really powerful console. I mean, this is like top of the line, amazing power. Very heavy, very bulky. I actually have it plugged in right now. I should probably unplug it so I can turn it around and stuff. But you could see the bottoms of it. And on the side here, there's an expansion slot. This must be where their MK2 was going to go. Too bad that never happened. On the back, there is actually a regular AV output, and I believe an S-video output as well, and an RF output. And then your regular plug-in. The plug-in is actually fastened onto the console, so you can't just unhook the plug-in. It's actually its own proprietary hookup, unable to be disconnected. So that's the console. Console, controller, some games. Why don't we pop a couple in and see what they look like? Here we go. Now the actual reason why this console did not work, basically what happened was it would load up and it would do all of this, meaning the consoles, the electronics, the capacitors, everything inside of it seemed to work just fine. And this is how it loaded up beforehand, before it would even freak out before. before, when it wasn't working. I mean, what we actually found out the problem is on the inside of the laser, and it was basically to now for me, I don't understand a whole lot inside of this console. I really don't. There's some really nifty looking graphics, the screensaver, if you will, for the 3DO. Look at that, nice scrolling. The laser inside runs on a couple of gears that help the laser adjust itself. There's your regular circular gears, and there's also a gear that is called a gear worm. The gear worm itself was just fine, but the gear that was rolling on it, the spinning part of it, actually had a big crack through it. So the CD, actually, the laser inside of the 3DO would not move from one end to the other because it was cracked. So it would just spin. It would just wouldn't do anything. And what we wound up doing is going onto a couple disc and CD and lens supply stores, and we first replaced the gear, and the gear looked like it fit and it worked. It's basically the type of gear that you would use on like a Panasonic CD player from like the early 90s. But the problem that came up after that was that the gear worm that was attached to it didn't work with the gear, so we actually had to replace the gear worm as well, and then it worked. And it's actually pretty impressive how much work went into getting this little 3DO up and running again. But as you can see, the disk drive opens just fine. That was never a problem before. The console's up and running and it looks good. We'll go ahead and pop a couple games in and give it a shot. Here I can put in Need for Speed, and you can listen to the sounds that it makes. It does sound like it's kind of a louder system when it loads and it starts reading the discs, but I'm not sure if that's just normal 3DO sounds or if that's just, maybe because it's been repaired and the way it sounds now, but you can hear it, how it sounds. Here we go. Okay. What the hell does that mean? What? Interesting. What is this crap? Delete. Skip saving. I'll just skip saving for now. Where's the X button? Okay. Interesting. I didn't even realize you could get to like the hard drive. But I suppose it's just like a... Isn't that glorious? Pioneer Products, like the company that made the laser active.
Now this is it. What every red-blooded, land-loving, land speed record wannabe ever wanted. A free ticket in the rocket of your dreams. A one-way ticket to the stars and a ride you won't soon forget. Fasten your seatbelts.
Alright, so let's give the Need for Speed a shot here. Okay. Not really sure what this is all about. I guess there's two cars, it must be a race. Sure. Lamborghini Diablo VT. This is just videos. This whole game just about watching videos of racing. What? Did I just pick a... Okay, I just don't want to watch that. If I go back... That's the road. interesting.
You got the nerve to push the envelope, man. Got some skill. That's what it takes.
Cool. Crystal Dynamics. Previews for other games? What? That's kind of cool. Let me see. Oh, I. Last chapter.
Once upon a time, in a distant and magical kingdom, a hapless serving boy named Johnson saved the life of the good king, and as reward was made knight and lord, to minister over vast tracts of land and protect its kind and loving inhabitants from the clutches of the evil, cunning, hungry,
The Horde. That is a great game. Total Eclipse. Yeah, that pretty much kills Cybermorph. Like, anybody. So much better than Cybermorph. Anything for the Jaguar. That looks much better. Loading. Future, 2044 AD. Crash and burn. Just reality, I think. Architect. How do I get a preview again?
I love close-in combat. I've survived this long because I live by two.
The secret to winning is to never, ever make a mistake. You master that tactic, and you will always destroy your opponent. Sometimes I ask myself how I can stand the senseless death and gratuitous violence in Death Drown. Then I get my winnings check and it all becomes clear. My favorite weapon is the missile. It's the long distance stab in the back.
I like to destroy racers in many different ways, just to keep from being bored. My favorite tactic is to flash the target with a bright light, then finish him off.
Oh dear.
If you want to know my secret, just get behind me at 400 miles per hour. I'll drop a few toys of joy on the track for you to play with. Then you'll understand.
Wow.
I'm a showman first and foremost, and movement is the key to my success. To get the crowds...
Sure.
Let's rock and roll!
Let's rock and roll, showman. Holy crap.
Sometimes I ask my...
Yeah. They must really want you to watch those bios. Because they keep flashing up there. Sometimes I ask myself, why do I like to see all this death and destruction in the racetrack and the death court? For early 3D, this isn't terrible. It's kind of like Road Blasters a little bit. Maybe I'm kind of close to dying or something. this will help. Not too long of the tracks, man.
Maintain formation, people, and keep alert. This sector's supposed to be crawling with Vakar fighters. Can you see anything on the scanners? Never mind.
You got 5 Krakow-class interceptors coming in hot and heavy, Case. All right, Case, you got one coming out. Wait, right in front of you. My Case, shoot. Got him. We got an hour gun now. Collision at 8, 7, 6.
Casey, this is Ari. God, I hope you can hear me. Look, your ejection pod hit some debris. You got hit pretty bad, but the med techs are trying to fix you up with life support and artificial senses.
You just hang in there, Case, and be okay. Audio link is activated. Cutting in visual in 3, 2, 1.
Switch on neural interface.
You got it.
Casey? It's Ari. Hi. Look. Your mind has been placed in a cerebral support mechanism. It's a device that when...
She's trying to say you're a brain in a box, Case.
Zach, could you let me handle this, please?
Oh.
Look, it's kind of hard to explain. Here, I'm gonna let you take a look at yourself. Now, you may not look the same on the outside, but I know it's you on the inside. And we need to know if you can respond. If you can, use the virtual interface in front of you to transmit a yes. Great, it works.
Case, you probably haven't heard, but the war is over. We flamed their butts at Exeter 3. The Vakar lost a third of their fleet. They went running with their tails between their legs straight to the Taladarans, practically begged them to negotiate a peace treaty. Of course, that put us out of a job.
But hey, war is hell, right?
So right now you're aboard the Artemis, finest salvaging vessel in the sector. Zach and I cobbled her together from a couple of surplus Alliance transports.
And not to mention the engines that we sort of borrowed from an Orion-class destroyer. May not look like much from the outside, but she could tug terra firma right out of orbit.
Well, we thought we'd help salvage some of the Vakar ships we helped disable in the first place.
It seems only fair. The way we see it, there's a lot of valuable cargo out there just floating around, free for the taking.
And we figured you'd be interested in joining us, so we liberated you from the lab. Zach hardwired your interface into the ship systems.
It's good to have you back, Casey. So, what do you say, guys?
Let's do some hunting.